So before we get started, turn off your cell phones and reminders. And if you're a current client, then follow the program that you have that I've made for you. Follow your customized program. If you're a newbie, a long-time lurker, or a stalker, then use the advice that I give you on this webinar to get better and improve. That's the best thing that you can do. So grab a pen and paper to take notes and use that information the best you can to help you improve and get better. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Koo. I'm the webinar presenter. I like to think of myself as a purveyor of common sense, nutrition, and exercise. And I'm a simplifier, and I'm going to get to that more in a minute. So what am I? I'm a former full scholarship collegiate student athlete, former collegiate strength coach, nutrition and exercise program design specialist, writer, simplifier, published author, webinar presenter, podcast presenter. The agenda for tonight is 1 hour. I'm not going to do this story about me. You guys can go to my website. And I don't like to talk about me because, people don't really care who you are. They care what you can do for them. And I'm here to help you guys and give you guys top quality info. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is identify the craving culprits. Next, we're going to do is solve the craving problem, solve the craving culprits. And then we're going to put together your final plan of attack. Something I've done is I have a lot of client case studies, before and after photos. Here's some right here. These are all similar folks. When I say similar folks, let me reword that. They're all different somatotypes and body types. And that's why I show those. But let's get into the topics we're going to cover tonight. Number one, the difference between hunger, appetite, and cravings. Well, hold on a minute. Am I hungry? Do I want to be hungry? Do I want an appetite? Do I want cravings? And I'm going to tell you the difference in these three. Next, I'm going to tell you what causes cravings. And next, I'm going to tell you the diet-specific reasons for cravings that you have. Then I'm going to teach you how to fix those diet-specific cravings. Then I'm going to tell you the only thing healthy food can't fix, or the only type of craving that healthy food can't fix. And there is one thing, and I'm going to tell you that tonight. So cravings are the number one killer of successful diets and the biggest hurdle folks have to overcome. People battle cravings day after day, week after week, and month after month, and year after year, and they lose every single time. You can't ignore your cravings, or else they only get stronger. However, if you know how to combat them, you can silence them for good. Once you identify the culprit of the cravings and attack them with the right solution, then and only then can you crush them. So, before we get started, what is your biggest challenge with cravings? Now, I'm going to reduce the screen. Don't panic. In order to bring the poll up, I have to do this, so don't panic. Let me bring the poll up for you. Just give me one moment here. I will gladly bring the poll up. I'm right here with you. Can y'all see me or not? I don't know if y'all can see me or not, but I'm going to bring the poll up. Just one moment. All right, good. I'm glad y'all did that. Let's get right back on air. Let's get right back on air. We're going to get right back to it. Not wasting any time. Thank you for your patience with that. And I'm going to bring the webinar right back up so we can kick it right back into gear. So good, we got that figured out. Now, what are cravings exactly? Cravings come from being deficient in either macros or micronutrients. And macros simply is short for macronutrients. So either macro or micronutrients. A macronutrient is protein, carbohydrate, or fat. Those are your three macronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. If you're deficient in magnesium, you might crave green beans. If you're deficient in vitamin C, you're going to crave oranges. If you're on a very low carb diet, you're probably going to crave carbs. If you're on a vegan diet, you might crave protein. If you're on a what's it called? If you're on like a lot of clean eaters don't eat enough fat, so they crave fat. So if your diet is very deficient in a certain macronutrient, you're going to crave it. Now, what is hunger? Hunger is when your blood sugar levels drop and your brain sends signals to your stomach to scream, feed me. That's all hunger is. It's regulated by your blood sugar. Appetite is regulated by your metabolism. They're correlated. They affect each other. So people with a fast metabolism always have a healthy appetite. They're always ready to eat. People with a slow metabolism don't eat very often. And that's why, and I've said this before, but you see a lot of these obese women and some men, that are in their 40s and 50s, and they wake up, have a cup of coffee for breakfast, and don't even really eat any food until around noon, and they have no appetite, and they wonder why they're obese. Well, they're obese because they have no appetite because they have metabolic damage, and I'm going to tell you how to fix that. So now, just to be clear, 2 or 3 of these can overlap. They can occur at the same time. Now, you can have these occur one at a time, or all these could occur at the same time. That's possible. Or just 2 of these could. So they can come in 1, 2, or 3 at a time. All right, diet cravings culprit number 1. Not eating enough of the right carbs. People, I'm telling you right now, they don't eat enough carbohydrates. Even, I don't care if they're a clean eater. I don't care if they're a paleo eater, whatever the popular diet of the day is. They're not eating enough of the right carbs. It's very common to see folks load upon protein and veggies and berries. Then 2 days later, they'll fall into a cereal binge. And these are people that are in the gym. These are health people that, call themselves fitness fanatics. These are people that, love protein powder and protein bars. And yet they binge because they don't eat enough low glycemic, healthy carbohydrates. And when they do eat carbs, they're usually eating processed refined carbs, and they don't get enough in, so they end up binging. And they have a very high energy expenditure. They run a lot. They're spinning classes. They're fitness-minded folks. And they think cutting carbs is healthy, but they severely undereat their carbs. And when they do eat carbs, they're junk and they binge. And I'm reiterating myself here. The carbs they do eat are processed and refined, which offer very little satiety. Okay, not enough vegetables. What? What does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you. And the reason I put Tracy's photo up here is because she's what you would call an endomorph. She's someone that's predisposed to a high body fat. She's someone that would have genetically predisposed to higher estrogen levels. And my slide's off a little bit, so just bear with me here. But it's not eating enough vegetables. What do you mean by that? An extra cup of green beans? Well, let me explain. It's a lack of leafy, multicolored, diverse, and high volume. Guys, nothing wrong with green beans. But eating a cup of green beans with a chicken breast ain't going to cut it. That's just not going to feed the bulldog. That ain't going to get it done. Okay? Always, always, always eat in meals with no carbs. Now, does that mean if you have chicken or rice, you can't have broccoli with it? No, I didn't say that. What I said was always in meals where there are no carbs. So if you're eating a piece of fresh wild salmon, then you, without any potato, rice, without any of that, then what you would want to have is a big leafy salad. You'd want to have about 15 asparagus spears. So whenever you're having it could be a protein and a fat source. It could be a protein, but as long as there's no carbohydrate there, you always want to load up on the vegetables with that meal. And what these do is when you add a huge leafy green just a big bowl of spinach or lettuce isn't going to cut it. You want to have a diced up tomato. I understand tomato by definition is a fruit. I get that. But follow me with this. Tomato, diced up cucumber, diced up bell pepper, diced up Hungarian chili pepper, diced up squash. I don't know, diced up, did I say cucumber? Some kale, some arugula. Get creative with it. Okay, get a big giant bowl. And what that does is that'll really promote and add satiety and increase the principle of volumetrics. All volumetrics means is that it's the same number of calories as the other meal, but it takes up more space. It occupies more volume. And what that does is that utilizes the digestive system more, and it's going to lower cravings. Okay, people that have cravings, that's going to lower the cravings. Okay, another big problem, and you can stack these, you can mix these together. What do you mean? What I mean is that you can use the not enough, the carbs, the vegetables, and what's the number 3 here? The fat. You can stack these together. By stacking together, I mean implement all of them. So not enough fats, you would add the healthy fats to the big salad. So if you're having a wild, now salmon does have fat in it, but let's say you had a chicken breast, a big giant salad, sprinkle on a tablespoon of olive oil. Okay, so people have a fear of fats. All right, people also eat the wrong type of fats. People also overload suboptimal fats, whereas almonds are healthy, they're good, but people think they're like the food of the gods and they load up on them. We want a diverse spectrum of fats that changes monthly. There's so many healthy fats that people aren't even eating. And if they utilized them, they'd get better results and cycled them through. Not front loading your food. This is the biggest problem. I know it's number 5 on the list, but this is really the biggest problem. Okay, someone wakes up, they do early morning cardio. If you followed me, you know that I say to wake up and drink water and eat. If you followed me, you've known that. All right, but people say, I'm going to wake up and they do their early morning fasted cardio. What that does immediately is you put your body in your body's already in but you haven't eaten in what, 8, 10, 12 hours when you wake up. Then you go and you burn up the cardio. And once again, you haven't eaten anything. You create an even bigger deficit. You're already in a deficit. Now we create an even bigger deficit through burning cardio energy. Then on the way to work, you might have some egg whites and oats, or a lot of women will grab a cereal bar on the way to work. Okay. You might grab a Quest bar, the cool stuff. It's cool to do that. Instagram girls do it, so you want to do it too. And you munch on that and you think you are doing great. You're going to have a slim figure. What you don't understand is you're in a severe caloric deficit, and you're wreaking havoc to your metabolism. Then for lunch, you might have, chicken or rice, or chicken, a salad with a chicken breast for lunch, or a cup of yogurt. That's what you have for lunch. You're in a deficit so big right now, it's scary. Then what you're going to have is you're going to have a protein shake and, a handful of almonds. That's the typical go-to, quote unquote, healthy woman lunch or afternoon snack. So you'll have that. All right. All right, then what you're going to have is you're going to have chicken and rice for dinner. You might have a piece of fish and potato, whatever. That's what you're going to have. You might have some broccoli with it, whatever. That's going to be your dinner. You're in such a gigantic, and you usually go to the gym after work, again, to lift weights. So you're in such a huge deficit right now that it's just a matter of time until you're still very hungry, but it's just a matter of time until the cravings onslaught along with the hunger hit you. So then at 9 p.m. you cave in, you can't take it, your hunger, and you start snacking on crackers. You have a spoonful of ice cream, and before you know it, you've devoured half a gallon of ice cream. So here's what you've done. You created a huge deficit early in the day. Okay. Then by the end of the day, there's still a huge pit or gap in your energy balance. In other words, when there's a deficit in your energy balance, that's going to equal a low blood sugar level. So the way you prevent this is you front load your food. You front load your calories. You front load your energy balance. However you want to word that. I don't like the word calories because then people think, oh my gosh, how many calories should I eat? Should I eat 1,827 or 2,198 or 70? I mean, it's crazy. I don't want your mind on calories, but I'm using the word calories in this circumstance as the word food, as the word energy balance, as the word digestible fuel. Think of it in that sense. So if you had woken up, no cardio, and had a big healthy breakfast, some brown eggs, some quinoa, some oatmeal, half an apple, whatever, okay? If you'd had that, then had a meal about 3 hours later, 10:30, 11, whatever, then had your 12:30 lunch, okay? Then had another meal after work, or maybe, I don't like the word snack, but had a 3:30 meal. Then you went on ahead and had your meal after work at 5:30. Then you went to the gym, or you could go to the gym at 5:30. However it played out. My point is that you had a good 6 meals in, maybe 5 meals if that fits your schedule better. Okay. Then what you want to do is by the end of the day, you would have had a greater appetite during the day from all that influx of calories. And what would have also happened? Here's what would have also happened. You'd be satisfied at the end of the day because you would have filled up your fuel tank and you wouldn't be running on below empty by the end of the day. You'd be at a moderate, maybe a little bit below. You want to, I don't want to say you want it slightly below, but you want to finish the day with a balanced fuel tank, with a balanced energy level. Balanced energy level doesn't mean you won't be tired. It doesn't mean you won't be sleepy at night. What it means is that you stimulated your metabolism with the adequate amount of fuel, and you're not starving. You don't have any urge to binge. Macro deficit diets are more prone to craving. So what does that mean? Ketogenic diets, Atkins diets, stuff like that, even paleo, or your typical clean eaters who don't know how to eat correctly, but specifically diets that are void of a certain macronutrient. Now, vegan diets aren't necessarily void of protein, but what happens is a big problem with vegan diets, and I have this because I've worked with so many vegan clients, is that satiety and excessive hunger cravings is very common. And the reason why is that because no lean meat or eggs, it's difficult to find protein sources. It's difficult to get your protein. And the reason for that is that lower protein and high amounts of the wrong carbs will create excessive stimulation of appetite. Appetite's a good thing. You can plug in the word hunger, appetite. So what you want to do, and this is what I do with the clients that I had that are vegan. Now they get exact precise amounts listed. Here I'm just giving a general breakdown. The solution is to eat food sources of protein and carb and or protein and fat. So what is that? Well, a legume. A black bean has I think a cup of black beans is like 12 grams of protein. Now it's not a complete protein source, but it's still, it's better than nothing. And it's also has carbohydrates in it. Like nuts and seeds have protein and fat. Get you some sunflower seeds. Get you some almonds. Get you some walnuts. They have a little bit of carbs too, but my point is they have fat and a little bit of protein, trace proteins, more than trace, and low glycemic carbs, sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, stuff like that is slow digesting, and then healthy fat sources, coconut oil, flaxseed oil. You don't need to overload on almonds if you just had them with your previous meal, or nut butters. Some of those can be fine. But once again, this is how you build a successful vegan diet. That's a different topic for a different webinar, but that's just 3 bullet points that should be on board for a vegan diet. But the reason I'm mentioning this here is because all my vegan clients I've ever had, they come to me and they have awesome progress, especially the first month. And the reason for that is because of the reasons I just mentioned. They're not getting in any protein sources. And Greek yogurt is not really a good protein source. Or plain yogurt. So don't come at me with that, or cottage cheese. You can sprinkle some in if it's done correctly, but by and large, it's really not. But my point is they're eating that. And what happens is they have